Down.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of the PTFC Podcast. That was the sweet sound of a last-minute winner from Dave Hayes on Friday night. I'm just about to sit down and hopefully watch Man United slap Chelsea about. But before that, I thought I'd get this week's podcast done. So coming up this week, we have the usual injury and suspension updates. Quite a bit to go through on that. We're going to touch on the Rithing game, not too much. Going to review Denby in a bit of depth. Look ahead to Penryn Cork as well. Big game. A little bit of discussion around Jack Higgins' introduction to the team and what that means in terms of the way we play, the way we set up. And then just to finish off, a quick few notes about the future format that we're going to follow with the podcast, because I want to 6 episodes now, so I want to kick on and make it the best thing it can possibly be. So just a quick reminder, we only have 2 home games left this season. So that's Gresford and Bangor, and they are both in March, so only 2 games left at Bastion Gardens. The rest of the games are away, so if you're thinking about whether to come to games or not, just bear that in mind. So quickly moving on to the injury and suspension updates, because like I said, we do have a lot to cover in this one. The first bit of bad news is that Alex Jones is going to be serving a suspension for the next 2 games, I believe it is. That's due to an accumulation of yellow cards, so we're without Alex for the next couple of games, I believe. And then some further bad news is that we've got a number of players that are being monitored ahead of Saturday's visit to Penryn Cork. So the list of players is as follows. Ollie Buckley, Dave Hayes, Ian Griffiths, Aaron White, Warren Adam, Ben Marr, Alec Williams, Danny Davis and Ross Weaver. So those are all being monitored. Everyone else is looking pretty good to go. That group of players that I just mentioned, for one reason or another, will be monitored this week in training and see how they are by Saturday. Some positive news, however. Casey Faulkner's back available. Whether he'll play or not is a different matter, but he's served his suspension and he's back now. Connor Shackleton should be back also. I did mention Ross Weaver and Alec Williams in the list of players that are being monitored, but those are 2 players that are coming back. So Weaver's done a lot of physiotherapy to do with his injury, so hopefully we'll have Ross back as soon as possible. I know he's training now, and the same with Alec as well. Spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and he's given a time frame of around the Penryn Cork game. So whether he'll be fit enough to start or not, we'll see. But hopefully he is. Although Chris Bennett has been doing a good job at right back. Speaking of which, just to remind you about the depth that we do have in the areas, because that's a big list of players that are not doubtful but questionable for this weekend. So in terms of the fullback, areas, you got Chris Bennett and Aaron White, who have been doing really well at fullback in absence of a few key players. Jimbo Hay has been doing really, really well when he's been called upon, whether that be in midfield or as part of a back 2 or 3. Jimbo Hay, in fact, in particular, the Denby game on Friday night, he bossed that game, absolutely bossed it. Denby hardly had anything, and that was kind of due to the aerial dominance and the comfortable way that Jimbo, Dan Roberts and Dave Hayes played in that defence. Aaron White obviously with a bit more licence to go forward than those 3 players, and Aaron White was everywhere. I think he got a tooth knocked out actually, got elbowed by Christian Pearce. So that's Aaron White without a front tooth for now. And then obviously up front as well, you've got Macaulay Taylor, Sam Duffy and Jack Higgins, who can all fill in should Ollie Buckley and Griffo not make it back in time for Saturday. Ben Marr took a knock. As I said, Warren Adam, they're just a bit sore, but we'll see how they get on. I think Ben Marr is obviously every player is important to the squad at this point in time, but I think Ben Maher is very, very important to, the way we create chances going forward. Now, I just want to touch on the Rithing game. It was a couple of weeks ago now, so I don't want to dwell on it, especially seeing as it was a 4-2 defeat. But just going over their 4 goals. I mean, they had a worldie to open. They had a fluke that was 100% meant to be a cross, and it caught Ryan Roberts out. They scored a penalty, and there was a goalmouth scramble goal as well, which could have gone either way. It was just pumped in from a corner, fell down, and what's his name was in the right place at the right time. Rithing's top scorer. You have to say that Ryan Roberts wasn't at his best in that game. The first goal was a worldie, but he looked a little bit off his line to me. But things like that happen. You're going to get caught out, aren't you? And the penalty he gave away, I couldn't really see from where I was whether it was in the box, not in the box. He just hesitated a little bit coming out. But we got back into the game twice, didn't we? Goals from Ben Maher and Alex Jones. Alex's goal came from the work rate of Ollie Buckley. It was a great finish by Alex, though. It showed real strength to kind of hold the centre back off, and then slot it past the keeper. Ben Maher's was a bit of a 25-yarder. We showed the character to get back into it, but in the end we just weren't at it, and Rithing won. Gibbo, after the game, I spoke to him. He talked about performance levels, individual performances that he just wasn't happy with. And the good news is that they obviously worked on it in the week and rectified it, because we played much better against Denby, which I'll get onto in a minute. But just a quick note, and I won't say any more about this, but there was an incident after the Rithing game. A few people involved, myself included, and all I'll say is that Rithing need to get some new stewards. They haven't got a clue. But I will not elaborate on that anyway. So moving on to Denby, which was on Friday night. Great game. We won 2-1. What I would say is go and listen to Gibbo's interview. It'll be on the YouTube channel, so go and listen to his interview after the game if you've not heard it already. And he summarised it really well by basically saying that the performance wasn't our best, but we showed great character to find a winner after Denby got back into it late on. And it astounded me that Denby did get back into it. One, because it came from a free kick that wasn't a free kick. Two, they hadn't been pressing us, they hadn't been peppering the goal with chances, and all of a sudden we find ourselves in the position where we look like we might drop 2 points, but we didn't. We kept going, and that kind of woke us up really. Alex Jones was getting forward a lot more in the last kind of 5 minutes after they conceded, and we ended up getting that goal through the pressure that we were putting on them. The first goal came from Jack Higgins, his home debut, or his second home debut, whatever you want to call it. Dave Hayes brought down a long ball, and he took a touch that took it away from the striker, and then he just saw a gap in the midfield and just started ploughing into that gap. And he kept driving. He gave it to Griffo to his right. Griffo shot. It was either saved or it rebounded, I can't remember. And then it fell to Higo outside the box. Now, he had one part of the goal that he could place it in. I've heard people saying that it was an open goal, but it wasn't, because he had to place it in a certain part of the goal. Otherwise, it would have been blocked. Now, Alex Jones did a bit of a job. He was on his arse on the floor, but he was kind of holding off the defender to keep that space free for Higo to shoot in. Initially, I thought Alex might have got touched, but he didn't. So that was Higo's goal, and it went in. The side netting, great goal. After that, Ollie Buckley got injured, and it looked really bad. Hopefully, it's not as bad as it did look. But Chris Bennett came on for him. We had to change the system a little bit. And then just before half time, like I said earlier, Christian Pearce was sent off for Denby. Initially, I thought it was a clash of heads. I think a lot of people did, but the referee ended up sending off Christian. And Aaron White was on the floor. He'd had one of his front teeth knocked out, but he carried on playing, finished the game. And what does that tell you about the the spirit that we have in this squad? Ours is 18, 19, running around without a front tooth. And he was key to the kind of pressure that we were putting on him at the end of the game. So they did get that 84th minute equaliser. The free kick was given just on the edge of the box from a handball given against Dave Hayes. Now what happened was they shot, Dave blocked it with his foot and it bounced up onto his hand, but it all happened in a split second, and to me that's his hand wasn't in an unnatural position. It's not handball, as simple as that. But the free kick was given, they scored it, absolute bullet, nothing the keeper could do about it, and then everyone's a bit dejected in the stands anyway, thinking that bloody hell we've chucked it away. When we should have capitalised on it. We went into half time in the lead. We went into half time, with a man advantage, and we should have capitalised on that, but we didn't. So we made it harder for ourselves. Now we like I said, we pressed. 88th minute, there was massive shouts for a penalty for handball for us, but it wasn't given, and I don't understand how the referee can give their free kick for handball but not give us a penalty for something that was a lot more blatant. But he didn't give it, and then we just keep going, keep getting the ball forward. We had them penned right back, and then in the 91st minute, Ben Maher takes a corner. Really great delivery. It didn't swing much outwards. It just went directly towards the goal, and to be fair, I think it was actually going in. It went over the keeper. Dave Hayes was left unmarked at the back post, and then he heads it in or chests it in, whatever he did, which resulted in the winner for us and 3 points that in the end we probably deserved. But like Gibbo said in his interview, that's what now, win, loss, win, loss, win. So we just need to get out of that pattern now. We need to make sure that against Penryn Coch we focus on getting the win and capitalising. So moving on to Penryn Coch, having said that, they are, there's no easy games in this league, but if you could pick, Penryn Coch will be one of the teams that we'd want to play at this moment. We're trying to get our attacking style back, that free-flowing football that we were playing during December and January. We're trying to find our way back to that. And Penryn Coch are currently second from the bottom of the table. They're probably going to be safe because I don't think Holyhead have got enough to catch them. But Penryn Coch have got 1 win in the last 5, 3 losses in there and a draw. They lost 2-1 to Llanrydder last week. Now the thing about Penryn Coch is that they don't concede many goals. I look back at all the results and they only ever seem to concede 1 or 2. There's hardly any times where they've conceded 3 or more goals. But they don't score many either. So and with our defence, which I'm Dan Roberts, Dave Hayes, Jimbo, James Jones when he comes in, Bennett, Aaron White, Casey, whoever's playing, I think our defence is solid. With Warren Adam in front of that as well, mopping up. I think we'll be fine. I don't think they're going to threaten as much. It's just about us taking advantage. Now we played them in September, right at the end of September, and it was a 1-1 draw. Liam Lewis scored a last-minute equaliser for them, and that was the game where Diego Alvarado got sent off for an elbow very early in the game. Ryan Woods got injured, so Kieran Jones had to go in goal. Chris Bennett scored for us, but with 10 men and a midfielder in goal, that equaliser was always coming. And Liam Lewis, who is the scorer on that day, is Penryn Coch's top goal scorer for the season, and he's only on 4. So that tells you a lot about Penryn Court going forward. And I'm not trying to disrespect them. We were below them for large parts of the season, and they did come to Bastion Gardens and get a draw. But I think we've got enough to get past them, and we should get past them and make that 2 wins on the bounce. As we head into February and March. Just a quick thing I want to discuss as well. I was having a discussion with one of the fans about the introduction of Jack Higgins to the squad. Now I won't give my opinion on this because let's be honest, I don't particularly know what I'm talking about in terms of tactics and things like that. And we've had injuries, we've had absentees that have forced the Gibbo to change the lineup a bit and shake things up. But I'll throw this to you, just a bit of food for thought, and I'll just ask: do you feel like we've altered the way that we play in the 2 games that Jack Higgins has come in? Because Ben Maher used to sit behind the strikers, playing that number 10 and create chances from there. And against Denby, Benji was more to the left side, and then Jack Higgins was filling that role. And I'm not trying to say it didn't work because we won. Higo scored. His work rate was really, really high. And of course he's another forward option in a time where strikers are dropping like flies. So it's not a criticism at all. I just want people's opinions on whether Jack Higgins coming in has made Gibbo tweak things a little bit. Last thing to discuss this week is the podcast going forward. So basically, I've been doing this a while. I've not been doing them as often as I'd like. So from now, they are going to be weekly. They're going to be on set days, which I'll decide what day that will probably be. But I think it'll be a Monday every week. So people got something to look forward to on a Monday night. This one is quite short, but I want to bulk up the content of the podcast going forward. So we're going to have, if you guys are interested, I want to do audio fan cams to be included in the podcast. So after every game, home and away, I want to basically just have a little chat with whoever wants to speak to me about the game, and then we'll include that little chat in the podcasts and have a bit of discussion in there. So rather than proper fan cams, I'll just do them as interviews and include them in here. I also am going to do player interviews, so I interview Gibbo after every game, but I want to get some players in as well. I know they hate doing it, most of them, but they're going to have to because it's interesting to kind of get a view from on the pitch. And of course we're going to get guests as well, which I've been saying for a while. We had the P-Town Massive lads on. I did one with Leon Field as well. And I prefer it when I've got a guest here to actually discuss with, rather than it just being me talking to a brick wall. So those are the things that are going to happen with the podcast going forward. There's going to be a lot more content. They're going to be raw regular and hopefully better for you lot. But that just about wraps things up for this week. Nice little short one, concise, squeezed everything in. And I will see you all on Saturday in Penryn Court.